Well, this story is about the moment I realized that I'd finally broken into Hollywood. It was 1991 and I was 23 years old. I had previously gone to Hollywood with my portfolio and had a great reception on several interviews with the overwhelming comment, if you lived here, you would have so much work. So with that, I went back to the Bay Area. I closed up my studio, said goodbye to the folks, and I took my dad's old Dodge van and headed back down to Los Angeles. I had some friends whose parents lived down in that area, and they arranged for me to rent a room from them. I went down there, found the address, introduced myself, and I moved my few possessions in. I'd gone down with, I don't think, $1,200 in my pocket, which back then even wasn't that much money. Before long, that money was spent with rent and gasoline and anything else I needed, a few trips to Taco Bell. Well, I'd gone knocking on doors and revisiting some of the places I had interviewed before, only to find out the timing was really off. They were either not hiring, they didn't currently have a job in-house, or they were already staffed up and they didn't need to bring in more people. Well, I was imagining just the doors being flown open for me and I could have gone right in and taken my place, but this was the reality. Sometimes work was abundant, sometimes not so abundant. Anyway, it only took a few months to realize that my pittance of a bank account was disappearing quickly. So with no success of being invited into any Hollywood project at the point, out of sheer desperation and necessity, I went to a temporary agency and applied for a position anywhere that would help me pay my bills and keep me there in Los Angeles. After a few days, I got a call and they said, hey, we've got a position open for you at Calcan. And to my knowledge, Calcan was a dog food company, which was fine with me. And I just reorganized my brain a little bit and accepted that I would be canning dog food perhaps for the next week or four. Anyway, I went to the address that they gave me and was interestingly surprised that it wasn't Calcan, it was Calchem of California Chemical. I don't even know if they're still in business, but what they did is they were a pipe fitting company. They moved large chunks of industrial pipe around, specifically to go to different locations, refineries and things of that nature, to do maintenance cleaning of the systems. So they would park their truck, hook up their big hoses, the big pipe lines, and for a 24-hour, 48-hour period, they'd pump saline solution through these refineries and factories to clean them out and do regular maintenance. I did this for a month and for another month. And I realized that the time I'm spending paying my bills, I should be knocking on doors, opening that dream of Hollywood. And I was getting very frustrated, to say the least. The best I could do was to continue to call back on those people that had originally showed me a positive response. Mark Galvin, in particular, he was a producer over at DreamQuest, gave me one of the warmest welcomes. So I made it a point every Friday at lunch, I would call him and let him know I was looking for work. It got to be a funny little game. He would pick up the phone immediately, say, nope, nothing this week. And I'd say, well, thank you, talk to you later. And at one point I said, I'm not trying to bug you, Mark. I just really want to work with you. And he said, no, we want you to work here. When the timing's right, you're going to hear from us. So one thing led to another. And we just kept playing how you doing on the phone. Well, this one particular time with this pipe fitting company, I found myself out in the desert of Coachella, California, the Coachella Valley. And we were at a refinery. We were doing the saline solution cleanse. I'm wearing an orange vest, my work boots, and a hard hat. And I'm sitting there kind of babysitting the machine, making sure the red lights don't go on, everything's working properly. And I had the late night shift, being the youngster on the crew, and it was about 3 a.m, and I was just sitting there next to the pump rig, and I was looking up at the sky, and I was meditating, I was thinking, I was throwing my anger and my frustrations. You know, I could be pipe fitting anywhere, but I was in Los Angeles for one purpose, and that purpose was to be using my artwork to make movies. Well, as I sat there pondering and thinking, I was chewing on a piece of old beef jerky, And out of the night sky, this shadow flies overhead. And I duck, and right next to me on the pump truck itself, a giant owl lands not 5 feet away from me. And I look into its eyes, and it looks at me and tilts its head sideways. And we stare at each other for several seconds, and he sidesteps, shuffles over little by little, and gets closer to me. And he eyes the jerky in my hand. And I extend my arm, and he takes it from me and flies away. And with that little interaction with nature, I was able to settle my mind, and I got through the job. Interestingly enough, 2 days later, I head back to my room, and when I go inside, the old woman I was renting from said, "You've got a message on the machine." So I go and listen, and it was Mark Galvin. He said, "Hey, Clark, we've got some matte paintings we need done. Can you see Hoyt Yateman on Monday, and he'll give you the assignment." And I was so thrilled. I could not believe it. And to this day, I feel a little bad. I never even called the pipe fitting company. I certainly didn't give 2 weeks notice. But on Monday, I went to the address they gave me. It wasn't DreamQuest. It was some sort of a post-production house in Hollywood, but that's where Hoyt Yateman was working on a project at that time. So I was asked to meet him there. So I drove out there, and I go inside, and I chat with the receptionist there, and she invites me through a set of doors into kind of a waiting lounge, if you would. And I'm sitting there just taking in the environment, and a couple people come in, they help themselves to some coffee, they go back out. And I'm just waiting for Hoyt to show up. And the minutes go by, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It didn't matter. I would have waited a week. Then a fellow came in dressed in white linen trousers and a open linen shirt, just feeling too cool for words. And I recognize this person as the actor Richard Dreyfuss. And I knew him from the movie Jaws, and certainly from Close Encounters. But here he was, just feet from me. He walks by, and we make eye contact. He goes, "How you doing?" I go, "Good. How you doing? What's up?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just working." And he goes over, pours himself a coffee, and he takes a little butter cookie out of a blue tin, and he walks by, and I said, "Well, you have a good day." He goes, "You too." And I couldn't help but think to myself, if Oscar award-winning Richard Dreyfuss is here at this facility working, and I, Clark Schaefer, the kid from Concord, is there working, I think I've just made it. My first Hollywood job. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. There's a million more of them, and I'm going to keep posting them. If you have a specific question or you're curious about something, let me know. I'll probably address it and turn it into another story. So anyway, thank you. See you next time. Bye. Oh. Please check out Kickstarter. Contribute however you can. Let's make this magic happen. You can be part of the next story. All right? Thank you. Take care.